All right, let's dive right in. Today we're going to talk about the invisible scripts, the hidden systems that might be running in the background of our lives. Are we really in the driver's seat, or are we just following a program we didn't even know was there? Let's take a look.
There's this speaker, Owen Cook, who puts it, well, pretty bluntly. He talks about this feeling, this kind of numb autopilot he calls the derp state. You know the feeling, right? Just going through the motions, always taking the easiest path, not because you want to, but because it lets you check out.
So, let me ask you, does that sound familiar? That feeling of being a passenger in your own life, just bouncing from one thing to the next without ever really being present? It's this weird modern anxiety a lot of us have. But the real question is, why? Where does that feeling even come from?
So, what if that autopilot feeling isn't some random personal failing? What if it's actually the intended result of certain systems, some you can see, some you can't, that are designed to shape how we think, feel, and act? Let's start by looking at a couple of these potential systems.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about something you've probably heard of, neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. On the one hand, it makes some huge promises. The whole idea is you can model successful people, basically copy their mindset, and reframe your own thoughts to totally change your behavior. It's the bedrock of a huge chunk of the self-help world. But then, you look at the other side. The scientific community has pretty much walked away from it. After decades of looking, there's just no real solid evidence to back it up, which is why a lot of experts straight up call it a pseudoscience.
And this is how those ideas can get pretty intense in the real world. You look at critiques from former staff and attendees of events for big names like Tony Robbins, and some serious red flags pop up. They talk about tactics that sound a lot like brainwashing 101, controlling everything from how much people sleep, to the temperature in the room, to their access to food, all to create these heightened emotional states. People describe this cult-like vibe, with followers literally worshiping him. It suggests that these powerful techniques rooted in NLP can be used to whip up these incredible peak experiences that might also be incredibly manipulative.
You know, this brings up a really important concept we should all have in our toolkit: malafides. It's a fancy term for arguing in bad faith. It's basically when someone uses an argument they know is bogus just to win or get what they want. It's a crucial reminder to always question the intent behind the message. Is this person trying to empower me, or are they just trying to control the outcome?
And this idea of systems designed for a specific purpose, well, it pops up everywhere. Take education. This quote makes a fascinating point. What if the system isn't broken at all? What if it's working perfectly? The argument is that modern education was born out of the Industrial Revolution, and its goal wasn't necessarily to create brilliant critical thinkers. Its goal was to create good factory workers, people who show up on time, follow orders, and don't question the boss. A system built for compliance.
Now, when you start questioning mainstream systems, sometimes you can end up in some very, very strange places. And just to show you how deep this rabbit hole can go, we're going to look at a few questions from a really fringe document. Now, I have to be clear, these are unproven, out there theories, but they show a certain mindset. The first question it asks is about vaccines, suggesting that adjuvants are put in them on purpose to distract your immune system, which could make you more open to parasites.
And it doesn't stop there. It gets even weirder. The document then dives into our own biology, asking if our emotions are basically being hijacked. The theory it presents is that parasites could be feeding on the chemicals our own glands produce, causing the very imbalances we call depression or anxiety.
And this is where it all leads. The final, most extreme question this thing asks. It wonders if the whole ancient idea of demonic possession was just a misunderstanding of a really bad parasitic infection. And then maybe, just maybe, an exorcism was just a primitive, accidental way of giving someone an anti-parasite treatment. It's a really jarring place to end up, which I think is kind of the point of these theories.
Okay, let's take a deep breath and pull all the way back from those man-made systems, those rabbit holes of control. We're going to shift gears completely. Forget about the shadows of manipulation for a second, and let's talk about a tangible, incredible, living network that's right under our feet. A system not of control, but of connection. I want you to meet mycelium. This is the root system of fungi, this sprawling ancient web of living threads that connects pretty much everything on land. You know, the mushrooms you see? That's just the flower. The real organism is this massive, hidden, and some would say intelligent network.
The legendary mycologist Paul Stamets has this perfect way of putting it. He calls it Earth's natural internet. And for him, it's not just some dumb plant matter.
He believes these networks are sensitive, that they're responsive, that they might even be sentient.
And get this, the scale is it's mind-blowing. Think about it like this. For every 3 feet of a tree's root, you'll find over 2,000 feet of mycelium woven through the soil. It's a hidden superorganism that blankets the entire planet.
So here's the crazy part. This isn't some alien life form we're talking about. We are profoundly, deeply connected to it. On the evolutionary tree, humans and fungi actually split off from each other long after plants did. We share more than half our DNA with them. Like us, they breathe in oxygen and breathe out CO2. But what's really wild is the structure. The design of this network looks almost identical to the neural networks in our own brains, and even the large-scale structure of dark matter in the universe. It's like this repeating pattern of intelligence, from the microscopic to the cosmic.
Okay, so if this intelligent network exists outside of us, it kind of makes you wonder, right? Could there be a key to actually communicate with it, to tap into it? To even begin to answer that, we have to first look at our own internal network, our brain, and its incredible, almost unbelievable ability to change.
And the key concept here is called neurogenesis. It's a simple but profound idea. The brain can grow new brain cells. It can literally form new connections and physically rewire itself. For the longest time, science thought this was totally impossible for adults, that your brain was fixed. But now we know that's not true. Your brain can change all the way through your life.
And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Just look at this. These images show the brain's connectivity. On the left, you've got a brain on a placebo. It's, business as usual. Normal pathways. But on the right, that's a brain on psilocybin, the compound in magic mushrooms. It's like a fireworks display. It's a total explosion of new connections. You see hundreds of new, strong pathways lighting up between parts of the brain that almost never talk to each other. It's neurogenesis on hyperdrive.
And to make this real, Paul Stamets tells this incredible personal story. He suffered from a terrible stutter his whole life, and it caused him just deep, deep shame. Then one day, he has this really intense psychedelic experience during a thunderstorm. He climbs up a tree and just starts commanding himself over and over and over, "Stop stuttering now." The very next day, he sees a girl he has a crush on, walks up to her, and for the first time in his entire life, speaks without a single stutter. He is convinced that the experience literally reset his brain.
And look, this isn't just some one-off story. Mainstream science is taking this stuff incredibly seriously now. There are more than 235 clinical studies happening right now, looking at psilocybin for everything from addiction and severe depression to degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. The early results are so powerful that there's a huge movement to get it reclassified as a medicine, not a dangerous drug.
So we've been on quite a journey here, right? We've gone from these potential systems of external control to this amazing natural system of connection. From the possibility of being manipulated to the very real possibility of internal freedom. And that brings everything right back home, to us, to the choices we make. And it really all boils down to this. On one side, you have what you could call the perceived prisons, that autopilot derp state, the manipulative systems, the weird conspiracy rabbit holes, and even just our own stuck-in-a-rut ways of thinking. But on the other side, you have the keys. The power of just being present and thinking critically. The ability to spot when someone's arguing in bad faith. The incredible feeling of connecting with nature. And the mind-blowing fact that our brains can actually change and rewire.
And that leaves us with this really profound final thought from Paul Stamets. He suggests that these kinds of experiences don't just rewire our brains for a little while, they can fundamentally change our whole perspective. They can give you this deep confidence that you're not just this little isolated blip, but that you're part of this huge, eternal continuum of existence.
So, that brings us to the final question, the one I can't answer for you. If our minds aren't set in stone, if our brains can literally be rewired and new connections can be made, then the reality we're living in isn't a fixed thing. It means the ultimate power isn't just about breaking out of some matrix someone else built. It's about consciously choosing which one you want to build for yourself. So what's yours going to look like?